The start of a new school year means a fresh start for school kids, but my next guest says grown-ups should take advantage of back-to-school time too. It's Studio 5 contributor Matt Townsend, and he says back to school is a great time to reboot your relationship with your spouse.
Hello.
So we have to apply that same back to school, back to spouse.
Why do all the kids get all the fun? Do you remember how fun that was? You're going back, everything's new. So if you had a bad year last year, it's like, let's just start over. We're gonna start over. New clothes, new pencils. Do you remember the old pencils?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember a pencil?
Oh yeah,
we hardly
kids don't have to have pencils.
I know, they don't use pencils anymore. So I'm thinking, how cool would it be if in our marriages, if we didn't have quite the year we wanted, if we could just say kind of do over and go reboot. And what
this is the time to do it.
Yeah, because we're not going to go buy clothes for the marriage, but we could buy maybe a new attitude. We can't change the history, but we might be able to change the future, and maybe I'll even alter some of the bad memories a little bit.
Okay, so I know that you're going to have just some basic ways that we can do that.
Yeah. One thing, you got to be together. So go out on a date. You could go on a walk. This is about 4 different conversations, and each conversation is going to take you somewhere else in your marriage. One of my favorites is just simply reconnect to your marriage vows. Everybody went out and made marriage vows, right? To love, honor, cherish through sickness and in health, thick and thin. And now 20 years later, some of us are thick and some are thin, and now we got to deal with it. So I want people to go back and reconnect. What do your vows mean? What did our marriage vows mean? And if you were married in a church, what did the church's beliefs about the marriage vows mean? So we can go in and seriously figure out, what does this matter about our marriage? A lot of us I have people all the time say, well, we were married in the church, so we'll never divorce. But I'm like, well, then act like it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mean, but act like your vows matter. Act like you are going to be with each other through thick and thin, and start to talk about what really is the key to a healthy marriage.
And so when you look at those and you evaluate, I think sometimes when you evaluate a marriage, it's easy to focus on the bad.
Yeah, we always start with the bad, don't we? So I want people to focus on what's working well. So once you know what your vows mean, then let's start figuring out what in the marriage is working well. And I would sit down, or maybe go to dinner with each other, pull out a piece of paper and write down everything in the last year that went really well together. What do we do well? Some couples do like television really well, right?
We binge watch Netflix really well together.
We do that. And if you actually like binge watching and that works for you, that's something that we'll put on our list. But if we can communicate well, let's get that on the list. Or if we just like going out to dinner, that works. Or if we discipline our children well, whatever works, be very specific. If it's just that we sleep and wake up, we both are morning people, and we like waking up in the morning. Whatever it is, make a big list. I'd suggest try to find 50 things in your marriage that have worked or are working. And the reason for this is, if we know what our vows are for and we know what works in the marriage, we've already got half the problem solved. We don't need to fix everything in our marriage because we got a lot of stuff that's already working.
We have a lot of stuff going right.
So start doing that. So that's part of the plan for the whole year. Then take that, and then I want you to do this. I want you to imagine if Studio 5 showed up at your house and we were going to do a marriage makeover, and we sat you and your spouse down, and I asked, okay, great, we could do anything you want in your marriage. Where would you want us to begin?
What would the change be? What
change would you like us to make or work on in the marriage? And I want each partner to maybe come up with 1 or 2 ideas for something we want to improve upon. It doesn't have to be like huge catastrophic problem. It could just be something that needs a little push. But I want you to figure out each 2, and then we're going to figure out of those which 1 or 2 we're going to work on this year.
Well, I like that because you say find 50 things that you're doing right, but then find maybe 2 you want to work on. So then you're not focusing on the negative, but you admit that there's something
we would work on. So if Matt came with Studio 5, this is what we'd work on, and then this is what I'd suggest you do. Imagine when I got there, I had a magic fairy.
Okay.
Brooke's little baby. And we sprinkled dust on the marriage, and we fixed that problem instantly. In that moment, we fixed it. So if let's say your problem was a communication problem, you just couldn't talk. If we fixed your communication problem right then, tomorrow morning when you woke up, I want to know what would be different about that problem. If your problem was now fixed, how would you communicate differently in the morning? How would we communicate differently when we have a conflict? How would we communicate when we say goodbye? How would we communicate when we notice our partner's hurting? And I want you to start identifying solutions for what, if we fixed it, what it would look like fixed.
So it's more of a visualization kind of where you're just saying, if we didn't have this problem, this is how we would be.
And this is what it would look like if we were healthy. Most of the people don't think that they can fix their problems on their own, but if you know you have a problem, then you must know what some solutions are. So I want you to just come up with a bunch of ideas of how it would look different if it was fixed, specifically.
So after you do your little magic fairy experiment, then what?
Then I'd kiss. I'd just do that for fun.
Yes.
And then what I would do is I'd go and I'd suggest we come up with 1 or 2 goals that we're going to work on as a couple. And these would be our couple goals for the next year. And one could be whatever, communication, one could be better date nights. And then each of you ask this one question. What's the most important thing I can do this year to make a serious impact on this goal so our marriage can be better? And I want each of you to come up with some personal goals, and I want you to come up with your couple goals. And then we're going to talk about them, and we're going to share them with each other, and I'm going to tell you what my personal goals are. So if my personal goals are to learn to be more attentive and to listen better in our communication and to hold my mouth when we're talking, then those would be my goals. And then the next thing we're going to do, all we're going to do, is just start taking those goals and finding a way weekly or daily to just focus on them. And when we do something well, when I notice my wife had a really good day on her goal, for the rest of the year, I'm going to focus on it and point it out. Honey, you nailed it. Thanks for listening to me. That really worked.
Once again. All right, if people are wanting more ways they can get back to their spouse for back to school time.
Super cool stuff. We got this brand new website with a bunch of my classes and workshops, and they're really inexpensive, like $4 a class.
Okay.
You get online, just go to matttownsend.com, watch 150 hours of different stuff.
150 hours.
Just to fix your partner.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Amy.
All right, when we come back, why you might want to rethink your Christmas charitable giving and do it during the summer months. We spotlight one organization in need.